Hey, welcome back to your favorite show, Jaws on Sports. And Mike and Zach are here with you tonight. I'm going to talk a little bit about some really awesome stuff. The Formula One season started last week. We're going to talk about that a little bit. And if we think any damn team can catch up to Red Bull or Max Verstappen. And then we're going to talk about UFC 299 this weekend. So, with that, Zach, how is it going?
I'm all right. I'm pretty busy this week, but I guess it's better than not having anything at all.
That's a good
So
point. Yeah, I always prefer when I'm busy.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, it's good. You got spring break coming up, don't you?
yes, I do.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Spring break. I don't know what that is anymore, but glad you've got it. I know you've got some pretty awesome plans. So with that, let's jump in. We're going to jump into Formula One first, and I know that there's been a lot of folks kind of get interested in it in the last few years with the Netflix series Drive to Survive. I know that, yeah, I spent some time in Germany 20 years ago and kind of got interested in Formula One back then a little bit and lost track of it for an awful long time. And then in recent years, I've gotten back into it a little bit. If nothing else, they're usually on early on a Saturday or Sunday morning, turn the TV on and listen to the whining of the race cars. So the past couple of years, Red Bull and Max Verstappen have totally freaking dominated everything. And they won an obscene amount of races last year and started out pretty much the same this season. And it's going to be interesting to see how it goes. So, what did you take out of this first race this last weekend, Zach?
I I wouldn't be surprised if Red Bull wins the next 2 years. They're ahead development wise. They're car designers. They're making these substantial changes to the car. And last year they won by 20 seconds in some races, and they're still trying to get better and better. So they sky's the limit for them. They have a really good team, and they do have the best driver. It helps to have the best car, but Max is the best driver on the grid. The race was, I think 5 laps in, Max was up 12 seconds or something like that.
And it was over already, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a fight for the best of the rest this year. And Ferrari having some changes next year with Lewis moving and Carlos not having a spot. I think Carlos is going to have some races this year where he just lets it fly. And he did that Saturday morning.
Yeah,
And over,
heck of a race, finished third.
yeah, he
Yeah.
outraced his teammate, and I think he's gonna win a race this year like he did last year. I personally don't think Red Bull's gonna go perfect. I could be wrong, but it's a long season. Stuff happens. Elements, rain. Red Bull isn't always the best car. Some tracks suit other cars better. So it was the first race. You don't have to get too far ahead of yourself, but you could say it's probably a Red Bull year, fourth year in a row.
Yeah, yeah. I tell you, I'm trying out some new lighting today, and it's kind of freaking me out. I'm ugly enough as it is, and now face is looking weird and stuff. And anyway, not important. Try to remember to edit that out, but it probably won't happen. So, the thing is, in America, Formula One has gotten pretty big, pretty popular the past couple of years. Okay, so um, a lot of it had to do with the Drive to Survive, but there's three races here in the States now, and they just had a giant one at Las Vegas back at toward the end of last season. And American sports fans are kind of finicky. We love the spectacle, but we want to see competition. All right. We want to We don't like it when the same team wins all the time. They usually become a villain. And let's think about that for a second. New England Patriots in the NFL, they were winning Super Bowls an awful lot. Did I have any reason to hate them? No. Were they the villain? Yes, they were. Okay. Alabama college football. Did I have any reason to hate them? No, I didn't. Did they win all the time? Yes. Did they become the villain? Yeah, they did. Georgia recent season, same thing. Um, the UConn ladies hoops that won like 12 national championships in 15 years. Did I hate them? No. Were they the villain? Yeah. So the list kind of goes on. Um, when you turn on a Formula One race, all the stuff that happens before the race, like when Martin Brundle is going through the pits doing his pit walk, that's freaking cool. All right. Especially when he comes across Americans that don't know who he is. That's funny stuff. Um, the all the tech stuff is great. The behind the scenes stuff is great. And the racing from about position 3 to 20 is really freaking good. But the race starts and Max Verstappen, he's usually on the pole. And usually by the end of the third lap, he's up 8 or 10 seconds. And I read that he didn't even have to use the drag reduction system one time this race this last week. And you techie folks or who really followed this close know what that means. Um, are we going to get bored of this? How long is it cool to think, okay, well, Red Bull's going to win the Constructors Championship. Max is going to win the title. He's probably going to win 15 races at least. Sergio Perez is going to win most of the rest. Maybe if we get some bad weather or lightning strike or Max has the clap or something, maybe somebody else might win a race. But when are we going to get bored of this?
I don't know. I think you got to look at it from a storyline point. There's a lot of internal problems at Red Bull right now.
Yes, indeed.
Um,
Yes.
so that could be a distraction. It could also lead to some driver changes, some management changes. They technically and with their technology, they're ahead, and they're going to be ahead next 3, 4 years. But with everything going on, big distraction. The best driver in the world, his dad of all people, is the diva here, and he might not even be at Red Bull in a couple years because of that. So I think you got to look at it from a storyline point. The race was fun to watch Saturday in Bahrain. They there was some good racing.
Outside of
Interesting.
winter.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you had Perez passing guys. It's not just that Max is in the better car because
Mhm.
we've seen Perez. He can fall back sometimes, but he's still a great driver.
Yes.
And he was passing guys, ended up finishing in second. So the whole thing getting bored. Well, you can gripe and talk about that, but their storylines with Ferrari, Mercedes, Alpine really sucking bad, which this could be a historically great season for Red Bull, and the total opposite end for Alpine. They're driving a tractor out there.
Yeah,
But
Zach was saying yesterday that his Impala could beat the Alpine team. So it's I'd put my $2 on that. I think it's
yeah,
worth a bet.
I'd take the shot. But
Yeah.
I think I think you just got to look at it from a point of view that right now it's this guy's really really good, and it helps he's in a great machine, but the machine doesn't help you win by 20 seconds. This guy's cutting off tenths every single lap. He's very fast. He doesn't need DRS, as you said.
Mhm.
Anybody that doesn't know that, if you want to look up a picture of a Formula One car, there's this part in the back called a wing. And hold on, I'll show you.
That opens up.
I got one right here. So this is live in color. So this is a Formula One car right here. So this wing right here, it opens up, and then you can cut off some time when you're driving. You can speed up. They go by kilometers per hour. We don't care about that. Miles per hour. So you can speed up using that because it's less drag. It goes through the wing. propels you a little bit forward. As you said, he didn't need that, but he's better. He cuts off that time. He's in a great machine, but I think if you put him in a lower car, let's say a McLaren or Mercedes, I think he'd still be competitive. So
Oh
I think
yeah, yeah.
you can't look at it like they're just that much better and he is product of his car. You could say the same about Lewis Hamilton years ago. But there's a lot of storylines. McLaren, Mercedes, Ferrari, Aston Martin even. It's a race kind of for the second best, but you can still find enjoyment in it. And I do.
Yeah, I want to.
Sorry.
Wow, what was that? Was wild. Okay.
I had
Hey,
my
oh, of course. I want to stress that I'm not down on Formula One. I'm just kind of, for our giant audience out there of millions and millions, sometime. Um, just if you're not familiar with this or you just started watching and the race starts and man, there goes that guy in first place. They're not even talking about him. You look at the prompter on the screen that has the statistics and driver positions and everything. They say Max Verstappen, Red Bull, first place, uh, Carlos Sainz, Ferrari, second place, 28 seconds behind. I'm like, what? But then they're showing the race for fifth and sixth, and there's some exciting stuff back there in the back. It's just you have to, I don't know, you have to take into account the entire experience. Okay.
yeah. Yeah.
Like for me, there was a time I was a huge NASCAR fan, and I still watch here and there, and definitely not as much as I used to because most of the guys that I liked are long retired or Dell Senior, rest in peace. But those races, those guys are bumper to bumper. They're trading paint. They're switching leads all the time. That doesn't work like that at Formula One, obviously. It's much more technical, lots of glitz and glamour. But I think it's about 40% of the time, whoever wins the pole ends up winning the race. So you have to accept some things when you're watching this. Number one, it's not NASCAR. They're not out there trading paint. When they go in the pits, the pit stops are about 2.3 seconds. It's extraordinarily fast. They have their full complement of fuel when the race starts, so they're not gaining fuel in the pits. And there's different strategies for tires. There's different kind of tire compounds depending on what your strategy for the race is or the weather or whatever have you. So there's a whole lot going on. And then there's these guys who are driving cars that are a couple seconds slower than the leaders, but they're out there passing. Um, Esteban Ocon is one of those. He's one of those guys. If you put him in a Ferrari or a Red Bull, he'd be winning races. Lando Norris, that dude is freaking awesome in McLaren, but he's had plenty of podium positions, but he hadn't quite got him a win. I'd love to see that guy get a win this year. Aston Martin started a little weird, but of the drivers that are out there, Alonso is my favorite. Fernando Alonso, former champ. You got the all the crazy stuff with Lewis Hamilton, who's going to Ferrari next year. Like Zach was saying, Carlos Sainz, who's driving like his perfect hair is getting cut off because he's the odd man out at Ferrari next year. Sergio Perez, who most of the time does no less than second place, but he gets the shaft all the time because he's not close enough to Max Verstappen. So there's a lot of things to follow in Formula One other than just how far ahead Max Verstappen is. But I'm with you. Um, Pending all the stuff with the team principal, CEO Christian Horner, and internal strife with, and I don't know how you say his name, Jos Verstappen, the dad, who kind of seems like he's one of those dads, sports dads. Um, with all that, as long as they've got the team, they've definitely got the car, they sure as hell got the driver.
Yeah, you touched on all of it. It's a storyline driven season, but I really don't think that Red Bull's gonna win every single race. They're gonna slip up, and that might be one race, but There's really great drivers out there. There's cars that aren't too far behind, but they just happen to have really good drivers to complement the rocket ship they're driving. So,
Yeah,
well, I'd say it's probably their year, but with that, this weekend, us talking about this, a lot of people aren't really exposed to it. I wasn't until probably a year and a half ago. I didn't really know too much. Heard some drama about Max and Lewis a couple years back, but didn't think too much of it. The race this weekend in Saudi Arabia, it starts at noon on Saturday. So you have nothing going on. It'd be a good chance to check it out. It's pretty cool. I like watching the cars go. I like fast things. I really like race cars,
hmm.
and they make cool noises. So anything less than that, us not getting you into it or whatever. But if you want to see something new, see something that's pretty cool, then the race is on at noon Eastern time, and check it out. I'll be watching for sure and hoping for something interesting to happen.
Yeah, yeah. Check it out. Give F1 a shot. They got the Drive to Survive. I believe there's 6 seasons now on Netflix. It's very interesting behind the scenes stuff, and it's a cutthroat business. I tell you, man. Every one of those teams, even the Alpine, and I think they call it Alpine. That's how they say it, but I'm thinking Alpine Stereo from way back in the day. Um, just every one of those teams is full of just incredible talent, and not just the drivers, not just the highly paid tech guys, engineers, things like that. All the crew members, that's a cutthroat business, and make no mistake about it. If you're not an A player out there, then you're not going to be on these teams. So, I tell you, when you have A players all over the place, it makes a hell of a difference. But give F1 a shot. There's 24 races this year, I think, three of them in the United States. Um, it's pretty spectacular stuff. Okay. So, anyway, with that little segue here into UFC 299, which is right before the big one at 300, but this is a heck of a card here. We got one title fight. We got multiple former champions on the card. A couple of guys I hadn't thought about in a while, like Peter Yan or Rafael Dos Anjos, who's been around forever. Okay. Some gatekeepers like Melvin Holland, a new guy from Bellator, Michael Page. Don't really know how good he is. Guess we'll find out. And then one of my favorite guys, Dustin the Diamond Poirier, against some guy. I don't know who the hell he is. Benoit Saint Denis. I'm saying that wrong. I am not good at Francais. Um, I don't know who the guy is. We'll talk about him. Main event: Sean O'Malley, Sugar Sean, who upset Aljo Sterling back in what was that, October, I think, against the one guy who knocked him out. The one blemish on O'Malley's record, one Marlon Vera. So, Zach, take it away, man.
Kind of roll through these here. Prelim Matej Gamrot, Rafael Dos Anjos. As you said, he's been around for a long time. Gamrot's really good at wrestling, though. I think he might just push the pace, kind of be a like a Marab fight where he just takes him or attempts 20 takedowns and gets him down three or four, kind of
He's
holds
a
him there, and that's the fun.
he's a big favorite over Dos Anjos.
Yeah. I would say that's probably a 30-27 type of decision win for Gamrot there. I just don't think Dos Anjos at this point has much left in the tank.
You could argue that I've got his stats pulled up right now. Now, while I wouldn't want to be in the cage with him, you could argue that he's about 5 years past his prime and maybe more than that. It was 2018, the last time he had a title fight, and um, he was actually champ in 2015. It's unbelievable that he's had this longevity like he does. But yeah, maybe this is a swan song for him. I don't know, but I don't like his chances in this fight.
Yeah, I agree. Moving up, Curtis Blades and Jailton Almeida. This could be a main event fight. I in a fight night kind of setting.
Yeah, yeah.
Two really strong wrestlers. Jailton, he's not a big heavyweight. He weighs around 230. He'll probably weigh in 235, and he's very strong and he understands his balance and where to put weight really well. This could be an interesting fight. We see these wrestlers and grapplers at times they kind of abandon their wrestling and they just stand and start swinging at each other. So this could be an interesting fight. And Blades has shown that he has knockout power.
Yeah, Almeida, he hasn't lost since 2018. He's undefeated in the UFC. Had a big win last time. Curtis Blades is one of those guys. I mean, he's good enough to stay up at the top of the heavyweight division, but he's kind of a higher level, I guess, gatekeeper type of a guy. He's always around. He did actually defeat interim champ Tom Aspinall, knocked him out about a year and a half ago, but
No, no. Tom Aspinall, he blew his knee out in the first 10 seconds. So, no,
I
that's not
remember
a knock.
that. But I'm just saying he's got to win.
Yeah, that's a fluke. That's not a knockout in any way.
But anyway, um, knockout power. You think how far you think this fight's going to go? I mean, uh, Shelton. I think that's how you say his name. He's got a lot of submission victories. Got some KOs interspersed. Curtis Blades. He's got that knockout power. Should be fun. It's always fun to watch the heavyweights go, and especially a more kind of slim down heavyweight who can move pretty quick. Did I lose Zach? We're still recording, but I think I lost Zach. Let's pause here.
Okay.
Yeah, folks, we had some technical difficulties there, and like Facebook and AT&T and T and LinkedIn today, lots of technical problems this week, and I don't know what happened, but looks like we're back live.
All right. So, first fight on the main card, Peter Yan, Song Yadong. Yan's been on a bit of a rough patch, couple decision losses against some strong wrestlers, and he's finally getting a striker. Song Yadong, he's very quick. He's snappy with his shots. This is going to be a stand-up fight, which is great for Yan. He hasn't had that. I like Yadong. I just think he's too young. I think he definitely has experience up to this point, but I I don't know. I think Jan's gonna he's gonna do what he does. He stands in front of you the first round, kind of just stares you down, gets a read on what you're doing. Then I think he'll pour it on those second and third rounds. And his boxing experience, he's a master of sport in boxing. I think that'll come up big for him, and his pressure will be too much. I think he'll win a 29-28 kind of decision.
Yeah, I mean Peter Yan, former bantamweight champion, and he's lost three in a row. But I mean, he's fought the best of the best. He lost a very close, could have gone either way, split decision to the current champ O'Malley. He was DQ'd in that first fight against Sterling. They had a very close split decision. It could have gone either way in their rematch. Sterling did win that one. Kind of between that, he did beat Corey Sandhagen, who's still one of the best there is. So even though he's on a three fight losing streak, this is definitely one of the best guys out there. Um, he's a slight favorite in this fight. Should be a pretty good matchup of styles, I would think.
Yeah, I think that could be a fight of the night kind of fight there. Very high level.
Yeah, yeah, definitely so. Yeah.
Gilbert Burns and Jack Della Maddalena.
Yeah, both of
I,
us are big Burns fans, man. I love that guy. He's awesome.
I mean, how do you not love Gilbert Burns? He's gonna go in there. He's gonna give it your all, his all, rather. Likable guy. Jack Della, he's good. Kind of had a underwhelming performance the last two fights. He beat Kevin Holland in kind of a weird. I don't think he beat him fight. He's predominantly boxing though. This guy doesn't wrestle. He doesn't kick. This guy's gonna be throwing body shots, try to keep you at range, and use his hooks. I think that's where Gilbert is going to be better. I think he has more power. Gilbert has the wrestling too. So if this fight at any time gets on the ground up against the cage, Madalena can't do anything. Gilbert, that's his world. He's a world champion in jiu-jitsu.
Mhm.
Good luck.
Yeah, Maddalena, he hasn't lost since his first two fights, which were, 7 or 8 years ago. He's got this long winning streak. He hasn't been in the ring against the dudes that Gilbert Burns has. Burns been against the best of the best. Of course, he fought Kamaru Usman for the championship a few years ago. Tyron Woodley, Damian Maya, sorry, Neil Magny, um, Muhammad last time, Kazmat. Yes, he's been there at the best of the best. I'd love to see Gilbert win this fight. I think it's going to be pretty close. This smells like a 29-28 decision. I don't see either guy getting taken out. Um, I don't imagine that Delamano is going to want to take it to the ground, you know. But we'll see. Be a big Gilbert Burns fan in that fight. Looking forward to watching him. He's getting up there too. He's pushing late 30s. So um, some of these guys we've been following for a long time, they might be getting toward that end of the road, you know. I think I lost Zach again.
All right.
All right, folks. So that was our second internet interruption of the show here. It's pretty wild. Hopefully we've solved our technical difficulties there. Um, for the folks who work at AT&T who are watching us, get your shit together, okay? All right. So we got about 8 minutes left in our show here. Want to look at the co-main?
Yeah, the Saint Denis fella, I'm not too high on him. He's 13-1. He's this French special forces dude. That's his whole thing. I think he's a little rushed here. He is the favorite against Dustin, which blows my mind. Dustin, he this guy has been at the top for 7 years now, I think, and I just don't get that. Saint Denis, I don't know too much about his fighting style. I did watch him get absolutely destroyed 2 years ago, I think. I don't know if he won that fight. I don't think he did, but that fight, that ref got fired because he did not stop the fight.
His
So
yeah, I mean the first fight he had in the UFC was in October of 21, UFC 267 against some guy I've never heard of. I don't know who this Dos Santos guy is. It's
yeah,
definitely not a junior.
he
Um,
he beat the hell out of him bad to
yeah,
where the fight should have been stopped 15, 20 times. So
okay.
he's clearly improved since then, but Dustin, he sits on his punches well. He uses his calf kicks. He is good wrestling. Maybe I'm overlooking this guy because I like Dustin, but I think this is a step ahead way too quick for this dude.
Yeah, the thing that jumps out to me, and I wouldn't bet anything on any of these fights. Zach and I have been to the fights. We've seen how you could have a guy who's dominating and then just one punch, or he's got his arm stuck out there, he's got his neck stuck out there. Next thing he's tapping out or going to sleep. So these things happen really quick. I had no idea why Dustin Poirier is the underdog. He's a slight underdog in this fight. He is a absolute great fighter. Now he got knocked out by Justin Gaethje last time, and that happens. You know, Justin's knocked out a lot of guys. The fight could have gone either way for that. But if you look at who Dustin Poirier's fought, you know, Michael Chandler, Charles Oliveira, Conor McGregor twice, retired hopefully for good. That punk Conor McGregor. He was in the octagon against Khabib and did well till he got tapped. Uh, Poirier's beaten Max Holloway, one of our favorite fighters. You know, the guy is still great. Sometimes you wonder how a long tenured great fighter is going to do after a knockout like that, but I I think Dustin's got something to prove here.
Yeah, I just don't believe this guy, and this could be a emerging performance where he establishes himself as the top guy. It could be, but knowing what I know about Dustin, I can't pick against the guy.
Hmm.
He he's very stubborn. He's not gonna let you play your game against him. He's gonna box you. He's gonna kick your legs, and he's tenacious. He'll get you against the cage and start throwing bombs at you. I This Santini guy might be able to take it. He's shown he's got a good chin,
Yeah,
but 3 rounds, 15 minutes. I just don't trust him doing what he wants to do. I don't know if it'll be a finish. I don't know if this is going to be a finish heavy main card. I don't. I think
yeah, I
we
don't
might see
think so
one or
either.
two. And I
But
this is
decision.
this is a 30-27 kind of thing, but I could be wrong. This guy could be really good. Shame on me for not knowing a lot about him, I guess. But
I didn't know anything about him, so
the fact that he's a favorite over Poirier is very strange.
hmm. So we just got a few minutes left in our show, so let's look at the main event with Sugar Sean O'Malley and Marlon Vera. And I mean, as soon as O'Malley won the title, he called out Vera, and there's a reason for that. Vera is the one guy who beat O'Malley back in 2020, knocked him out. So yeah, I get that. Um, O'Malley's an interesting guy. He's got this great he kind of reminds me a little bit of Lyoto Machida from times past, a really good counterpuncher. He's definitely not physically impressive. He looks like a stick figure out there, but he's got very good striking. He's got a bunch of KOs on his list here. And you know, he beat who I thought was becoming a pretty dominant champion in Aljo Sterling. Might have been kind of flukish, but hey, you know, he caught him. He won the title. And make no mistake about it, O'Malley wins this one, and he's charismatic. Um, he's ambitious. He wants to be the next Conor McGregor. Um, he's American. And that does do something with with the UFC promotional power behind him. So um I think that Vera is kind of past his prime here. Um if he could definitely beat O'Malley, but this kind of seems like one of those cherry picked fights, in my opinion.
Yeah, their first fight, his nerve got pinched, and that ended the fight essentially for O'Malley. I Marlon Vera got beat 5 rounds to nothing against Corey Sandhagen just over a year ago in San Antonio. So I I don't think this is warranted. He beat, I believe, Pedro Munoz in his last fight in a very pedestrian performance, but that's his pace. And I think it's kind of sad, but Cheeto, he doesn't get finished. He never has
Mhm.
been. I think we're in for kind of a, hopefully I'm wrong, but I think this might be a boring fight. I think we might see them kind of stabbing at each other from range, Cheeto doesn't throw a lot of strikes. He's very slow. He picks it up in the fifth round when he knows he's behind by 4 rounds. That's it. Um, he he punches hard. He sits down on his kicks and punches, but O'Malley, he's shown pretty good defense. He tends
Mhm.
not to get caught, and he's long. So I think this might be boring. I really do. I don't know if O'Malley. I think if he gets hit with one knee or elbow, he might be hesitant to get back into range. This Hopefully I'm wrong. I want Sean to win. I agree. I don't
Mhm.
think this is warranted as a title shot, but I could see this being a boring kind of decision for the
Yeah,
first time.
I could definitely see O'Malley trying to pick him apart with the jab from distance, and honestly be perfectly happy with trying to do that for 5 rounds. Um, there's an awful lot of high level contenders at 135, and I think this one smells like a 49-46 O'Malley. Relatively easy decision. Vera, you don't know how much the previous win that he had over O'Malley factors in, the psychological factor. Hey, I knocked you out, regardless of how it happened. So there's that. O'Malley obviously is unproven as champ. You win the belt and you got to keep it. That's a true test of a fighter. So I would like to think that this would be a fun fight to watch, but I'm with you. I think it's going to be kind of boring. Maybe a technical showpiece, and maybe Vera tries to make something happen in later rounds and just can't find the range. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of sad because first title defense, but definitely not one that should have happened. A lot of studs at 135. You got Corey Sandhagen who dominated Vera.
Yeah.
That he's not even in line for a shot, which is crazy. So definitely cherry picked there, but
Yeah.
Sean's not going to do anything stupid. Cheeto is very slow and measured. So
Yeah.
this might be disappointing into the night. Could be a they just beat the crap out of each other, but
Hey, I'd
I
be down with that.
I just don't see it. But I think that's a decision championship fight, and probably one we'll want to move past.
Okay. Well, folks, that's it for our show tonight. We had fun talking about the Formula One and UFC 299. Hope you had a good time with us. And we'll see you next week. I'm Mike. Zach, have a good one, buddy. We'll see you next time.